So at this point, we're actually essentially done. It's just a matter of cleaning up and making it look the way the assignment asks. So let's do that. So let's start with this page. What we want is for each of these fields to have a label telling you what it's for, and maybe the overall page should have a header of some kind. So nothing crazy. Rotation label equals label, it says rotate by how much? And then we'll also have a message label, which is something similar. Type a message. And then this, I'm just going to wrap it in parentheses so that we can put a bunch of stuff here and it won't go off the side of the screen. So we want the rotation label plus the input, and let's also add a break there, and then we want the message label plus the text area. And finally we want, let's just do a header of some kind. Oops. H2 web Caesar. And our overall page is going to be the header and then the form. And I did something wrong apparently. It's probably this something in my string concatenation. I forgot plus signs here. I'm going to be consistent. I'll just do that. Still pretty ugly, but I don't really care. That's more of a, at this point, it would be more of a CSS thing to fix. Okay? Now the next thing we want to do is this other page, if you want to call it that, shouldn't really be any different from the original page. We just want the text inside of the text area to become encrypted. So I'm going to start by just doing the sort of naive approach, which would be I'm going to paste all this down here. And this as well, it's going to be the header plus the form. The only difference is the text area is going to contain, just like it used to, the encrypted message. Five, hello, submit, beautiful. Okay? So what we're doing is our get and our post methods are building all the same content. It's just that the post handler has an actual message that it's able to encrypt, and so it sticks it in the middle of the text area as the content of the text area. But this is bad. Copy pasting is always bad because if I wanted to change something here, I would have to change it twice. So I'm going to quickly now make just a helper function that's going to do all this work for us. So I'm going to say, build page. And this is going to return to us all the stuff. And actually, I'm going to take an argument, because what we want is we want all this stuff with something inside of here, or potentially nothing, but you could think of this as just an empty string for this initial case. So build page takes one argument, which is text area content, I'll call it. And then once we know that, all we have to do is stick it inside of the text area content, just like we do down here. So whatever this is, we're going to stick it in here because this is just a generic function. And then we're going to return finally all the content together. And now I can replace, I can just say content equals build page with, in this case, nothing. We're just going to have an empty string inside there because this is when the user just arrived and we want it to be blank. We want this to be completely empty. There should be no content inside of this text area. And then down here, we want all the same stuff. We want to build that same page, except that the content of the text area should be an encrypted or the encrypted message that we just figured out here. And then I just have to write that content. Same here. I don't have a header and a form here anymore. I just have this content variable. So all I've done here is I had very similar code, pretty much the exact same code. So I took it all out into this, I factored it out into this separate function, and then I call that function in each case that I need it, which is here. I'm going to build the page with no text area content, and then here I'm going to build the page with the encrypted message as the text area content. So everything should still work here, but then we should, so when I visit the page for the first time, I see everything. I see all this stuff, and it's blank. And then if I type a message and give it a rotation of some amount, then I see the encrypted message. So this doesn't look exactly the same as their example page here, but I'm going to call this good enough for our purposes. One more thing I want to point out is that our page could break. So notice how if I don't provide a number here, we're going to get an error. The reason we get an error here is because this results in nothing. Essentially, this results in the empty string because no value was provided. And then trying to convert the empty string into an int fails. And so we crash. And so this brings up the importance of actually validating users' input, because you're not always guaranteed that they're going to give you input that makes sense, and they could, in fact, break your program if you don't handle it properly. So in this particular assignment, we are going to kind of ignore that and just assume that everything the user gave us makes sense. But in your next assignment, the user sign up assignment, you are going to do something similar to this, but you're also going to make sure to validate the user's input. And if it If they didn't give you what you want, you are going to respond and tell them, please give me a rotation number or whatever it is that you need in that context, which is how your application should always behave.